I'm Sarah Barrow, a retired 10-metre platform diver. I won Europeans, a world medalist, and I went to 2 Olympic Games. I've had the pleasure to talk to Andrea, current British champion, as part of the Past and Present series. I hope you enjoy.
Hi, I'm Andrea Spendolini-Siriex. I'm 15 years old and I dive at Crystal Palace. I'm senior national champion and I won a gold at the Rostock Grand Prix.
So firstly, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, not bad, not bad. How are things on training?
Very busy. We've got training just dry land type stuff with Lynn, but work-wise, I've got a lot more than I usually would, but handling it well, and it's just
Work-wise for school?
Yeah,
school work. And then what are you doing outside with Lynn?
We've got lots of drills, lots of physical conditioning, some cardio, just like a mix up of stuff that we wouldn't usually get to do if we were training, because we've got a lot more in the pool, but now we can focus a lot more like building muscle and getting strength.
Nice. Yeah, good time to do that. Brilliant.
Yeah.
So this chat's more about past and present divers. Very much now a past diver. I've not got back into the pools at all. So 2016 is when I retired. And you're very much up and coming, exciting diver. Platform, which is great because that's what my board was. I couldn't bend a springboard. I'm sure you're better than me at springboard, but so there's a few things that I think it'd be nice to know from your side of things and from mine. So one of them, I think we should kick-start off the conversation, was what would be so far in your career your best memory? That could be a competition, it could be a camp, a training session. It's something that you can look back on and go, that was a really good day, I enjoyed that.
I mean, being able to travel with like a big team, people like my age, or when I went with the senior lot in to Rostock, is always really fun, because like I've got the opportunity to make more memories and to try different pools and to explore different countries, and I think that's always really nice. But recently, my biggest achievement was definitely nationals, when I smashed my PB. I thought I was very proud of myself, because I didn't think I could do it, but it turned out to be like a really great competition.
Yeah, no, it was brilliant. Great competition, and yeah, you truly did smash your points. It was brilliant. and that's great. I think going from a junior to in a senior competition, I remember my first junior to senior, and it's very different traveling with a senior team, isn't it? And those guys have been doing it for a long time, so they just do it naturally, and I guess you have to then transfer from junior to senior. But
like with junior, everyone's my age, but with the senior lot, it's kind of like they always look out for the younger ones, and I think it's so nice. Like, although it's different, it almost feels the same, because like we're still competing, we're still training, but it's we're like a really big family, and it's just always nice to go abroad and to just make more memories.
Yeah, definitely. And that's something that I've looked back on and enjoyed throughout is the traveling with your diving friends, and enjoying the experiences when you go away. I think my best probably memory looking back at my career now would be there was 2. I'll do one for individual and one for synchro. So the first one individually would be senior Europeans. I wasn't going to go. I went to senior Europeans because my parents bought tickets to go. I was down to go, and then it was the end of the season. It's been a long season. We had Commonwealth Games, we had World Cup. I wasn't fully fit, but I said I'll go on the plane and I'll go and see how I do at the competition, just because my parents went. They got tickets, and ended up having a very good competition and smashing my PB as well. And it was just one of those days where everything just seemed to go right. I think you probably would feel that at nationals as well.
Yeah.
It was just calming, and everything just went the way you wanted to go.
Yeah, you have that pressure on yourself. You didn't put pressure on yourself, so you almost felt positive to
be there.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, that's exactly how I felt as well, because yeah, I didn't put enough pressure on. I just enjoyed being there. I had a good week leading up to it. And like I said, I wouldn't have been there if my parents hadn't got tickets. So that was probably one of my biggest memories, to win senior Europeans. And then I'd say my second one is actually probably medalling with Tonya Couch in synchro at the Olympic qualification. We were, I think, after our fourth dive, down in 8th place, 7th place, and a little bit disappointed going up for twist. But our coaches, Andy and AD, I think they were trying to decide whether to tell us that we were quite close between 7th place and 3rd place in points going into the last dive. And they decided not to tell us, but I could still see them when I was up at the board looking at them, still deciding whether they should have told us or not. And then I could clock, I was like, oh no, we are close. So then that's okay for me to know, but for someone like Tonya, she wouldn't have wanted to know. So I was like, oh, we can do this. And then we did the best twist we'd done, 82 points. And because it was at home, it was, the crowd was mental, because we were in 7th place, and then we were looking at scoreboard and we got a bronze medal. So again, we did have pressure on ourselves because it was a home World Cup, and there was, I think there was about 10,000 people there, which is big for a diving competition, and it's just the noise that the crowd made afterwards. So looking back on those two was definitely my positive best memory, and I feel like as you've got your memories for nationals up there, trying to recreate that that competition feeling, I guess. Sometimes it just works and sometimes it comes naturally.
Yeah, when you beat your own PB, I feel like that's almost a memory in itself.
Yes,
instead of like
focusing
on beating your competitors, you're beating yourself. So you feel like prouder because you've gotten better.
Yeah, and your biggest competitor will always be yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
So great. So a little bit more about your training environment. Obviously, it's different now at the minute because it's you and a video. Hopefully, it's going okay. What's your normal training environment like at Crystal Palace?
We're all sisters. Like it's so positive and it's so fun. Like we concentrate and we work really hard. Like we all try to excel. We all try to excel and do the best that we can. But Lynn is also like really positive, and she helps us get better. And it's some days are harder than the others because we're either tired or it's a harder session or we just don't feel like it. But we always bring each other up. Like if someone is sad, we'd always try to make them laugh, make them have a better day. But it's a really supportive and really like community type club. Which I love it because it's like I enjoy going to training because I know that the people there will support and will like they won't judge. They will just they'll just focus on like themselves, but they'll also help you grow.
And that's great to hear. Really, really nice, because I feel that that's one of the most important things to enjoy your sport, and those influences like your peers and your diving coach will help that. And it was the same for my environment really in Plymouth. We worked hard, but it was fun and we were motivated, and in terms of personalities, I had a lot of yellow personalities, a lot of fun sunshine yellow. I had Tonya, Andy, when Tom was there, when we had Brooke there as well. There was a lot of yellow fun sunshine, and it was nice that, like you said, if someone was having a bit of a hard time, you'd always get pulled up by others, or the others would know what to say, so you sometimes would leave your session feeling a little bit down that you may not have done as well as you could have, but also had the support of others. So that's very similar to in my, and I'd hope that is similar for most people, but I think the fun aspect is definitely something that needs to be kept in sport. We're in the sport for a long time as well. I did 16 years. You've got definitely I'm sure 15 years and male on platform is a little bit harder, but you know, you do need to have that fun aspect in your training sessions, and it's really nice to hear. That's great. So moving on, I guess similar to your biggest memory as well, but also the biggest influence in your career at the minute. It was more the fact that who has influenced you to always do better, or someone that you could look back and say, I admire that person as well.
Well, first starting out with the sport, my mum like forced me to go to training sessions, and I didn't want to go. Like I was refusing and stuff, and it got to like 6 months to a year, and I was like, oh, I actually enjoy it. So
yeah, why did you want you to go so badly?
Because I used to be a gymnast, so diving came quite easily. But I used to blame her for like, oh, you're making me waste my time. I don't do this. But
what do you say?
I just
thank you.
Yeah. I think my mum and my whole family, they've been so supportive. And you know, I've had really hard times where I wanted to quit and I didn't want to do this. But like they didn't stop pushing me, and I think that's always good, and it's always like really influential, because like if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be where I am now. And also I go to church, so my church, they're so supportive, and you know, if I'm going through a hard time, they're always there to pray for me, or they're always there to you know, bring me up. And I think like my family and my friends are definitely like the people that influence me and make
it's funny as well. That's great, because very similar to me as well. When I was thinking about some questions, sometimes people will say like a particular person, like you know, when I was very young diving, when I'd watched the Olympics, you know, like the likes of Leon and Laura Wilkinson. But when I look back now, like the influential people really that was close were my family, and my coach, and my single partner Tonya. So like you said, like even my parents were never pushy ever, and it's different for you to get started into sport, but they were always very, very supportive. Whatever happened, they didn't push, they just supported. And similarly to my coach Andy, he pushed me in a coach way, but in terms of then for life outside sometimes sport, he was very supportive in all aspects of my life. So yeah, influential people, I think it's actually those that are close to you and those that are there for you regardless of what happens.
Yeah
I
think when you watch a competition, you get inspired by all these divers and all their stories. Like I remember when I was really young, Tom would inspire me. I'd be like, oh wow, I love the way he dives, like I want to be just like him when I grow up. And it's like the family definitely influence you, but like divers like Tom and divers like Leon, they inspire you to become better.
Yes, complete and very true. I agree with that. And it is nice that you've got some great support around you as well, with your family, your friends, and church, and also in your diving family. Brilliant. So thinking back of something that more personally, I think for me, and maybe you could, you're quite young, so you're probably not thinking about it yet, but it was something that if I knew back then what I knew now, how would I change a little bit? And actually, this is more from my side of things, is not actually being in any skills or any lessons that I learned in diving, because I feel like the lessons that I learned then put me on the pathway to how I dived anyway. So I don't regret, like I don't wish I knew something before. But what's something that I know now is that life outside of diving is extremely important. And you're not just always going to be in that bubble. That bubble will at some point burst when you retire, or you're injured or at some point, and it's important to have other things alongside diving. So it's a little bit easier when you've got school, because you've got that to focus on, and like you said, you go to church as well. But when I was a senior, it was quite a pressured environment, and you were always just in diving. So I'm pleased now that, like, I wish I told myself then that you're going to be fine outside of diving. It's difficult, the journey is difficult, but you have to have some interests other than your sport, and that makes things a bit easier. So I was just wondering what kind of interests you have now that you can enjoy doing.
I think, like, I like to look into the future and to, like, have ideas of what I want to do after diving. And I want to go to uni, and I want to study law, and I want to, Amazing. Do something after diving. But I have some lessons that have taught me some things. Like, in competitions, I used to be really, like, stressed, and I used to put all this pressure, like, you need to do this, you need to do that. But recently, like, over the years, I've learned that the happier I am, the less pressure I am going to put on myself, and the better I will perform. In Edinburgh, I think it was the year that we had last year. It was before junior Europeans, and I had, like, my hand was swollen. My hand was, like, green.
Yes.
And I was like, I don't want to do this competition, and I just thought to myself, it's 5 dives. If I don't want to do the final, I don't have to. But I didn't put any pressure on myself, and I actually performed, like, really well. I performed, like,
I could see your tricep collapsing on your
like this, like, every dive.
Been there for platform dive. It's difficult.
It's definitely taught me to be happy during a competition, because, like, if I'm positive, if I'm smiling, if I'm not, like, quiet, like, if I just, just, because I was sitting next to Lynn, so I'm always like, oh, Lynn, I've got this dive, what should I do? And she always gives me, like, 3 points. I only have to focus on those things. And I think that's definitely a lesson I've learned, not to put the pressure on yourself. Because, the more pressure you put on, the less likely you are to perform the best you want to.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think there's different sides of pressure as well, because I think internal pressure is very different to external pressure. So I used to actually dive quite well with external pressure. So if, for example, if nationals, there's a selection coming up and I had to win, that would be external pressure. For World Cup, we had to qualify for the Olympic spot in 2016. 2008, we had to compete for the Olympic spot. And the external pressure actually helped me. But I think it's different when you put pressure inside yourself and you get too wrapped up and too angry. And I think that's where it differs. And again, that's a great learning.
I think I'm the same as you, but it depends because I haven't gone to that many competitions as you, obviously. But I think that I don't get pressured by other people, because I don't see it as pressure. I see it as, like, a learning point, like, you should do this because it will help you. If that makes sense. But if you put pressure on yourself, I feel like it doesn't help your situation.
It's not enjoyable.
It really depends with the person, because some people put pressure on themselves and they think it's, it helps them because they have a point they want to reach, and they'll reach it if they just tell themselves, come on, we've got to do this and stuff. But it really just differs on the person.
No, it definitely does. And I think that's what's good about sport as well, that you learn a lot about yourself as an individual, alongside with wanting to learn about your sport and how different things could influence you to do a little bit better. So for example, going on to maybe sports science, I was very keen on sports science, and if it actually made a difference in my career, and it definitely did. I did sports science at university, and part of one of the modules I did was psychology. And in my dissertation that I had to do for sports science, I was injured at the time, so I did my dissertation on the psychological effect of injury. And it made me think about all the stuff that I was feeling through injury is actually quite normal, and what you can do outside of your injury as well. So in terms of sports science, I used it a lot when I was older, an older athlete, because there's a lot of stuff your body tolerates. But are you using much sports science at the minute? Do you have access to physio and nutrition and psychology?
Recently we've got more because, you know, we have meetings with Gareth. Gareth is the physio that works with us, and he's so kind, and you know, he really like helps, and he always wants to make us be the best that we can. So from time to time, if I have an injury or something, I just do some physio, and you know, get the parts stronger. For nutrition, we have Louise. She's so nice, and we've been doing these challenges, weekly challenges, where we have to make a dish, write down the recipe and the calorie like intake and stuff, and that's been really fun because like I'm not the best cook, but if I have someone supervising, then I can do something.
I still burn jugs and everything. Don't worry, I put a jug on the other day and it all melted. It happens.
And we have Laura for psychology. I'm quite a positive person, so I don't usually feel like sad or upset, but when I do, I always talk to my mum and I always talk to friends and family. But you know, with injury, obviously everyone feels really like upset because they can't do the thing that they want to do. Last year I really hurt my wrist, so I couldn't perform platform until about April, and that kind of put me in a place where I was like, I actually miss platform. I never thought I'd say that, but I actually miss it. And it just like reinforces like you actually love the sport, and when you miss the sport, you know that you definitely want to do more of it.
That process will also show through this situation as well, because I think people are definitely missing the pool, and people are excited to get back. But along the psychology lines, I think sometimes psychology in maybe younger divers or inexperienced divers can be seen as something that you use if you're in a negative. So if you are feeling sad, or if you've got an injury, or if you're struggling on a dive, but there is a lot of psychology that you can look into that it would make you just slightly better. So using of imagery and just general well-being, stuff that you're already on par with, but that can step up to make you a little bit better. And that's what I was interested in psychology with, is that it's not always about being on that negative, and something I was just generally interested in. But no, sports science I think is definitely key. And what I was found as well is that in sport, but in diving as well, is that you have your little team around you. And what's a little bit strange sometimes is that team is putting in so much effort, even though it's their role to make you the best person or best diver that there can be. Which is a bit of a strange situation when you retire, because everybody just goes back to their normal day. That was always their job, but to do it with different athletes. So I was always part of that team. My coach Andy, Tonya, my weights coach Ben, physio, massage, and lifestyle managers. Like I really relied on lifestyle managers, Debbie and Ed. They were brilliant from the EIS, and that was your little bubble of a team, making you so much better. And that's all sports science, and it's experts making you just that extra little bit more comfortable in your sport. And I think that's really important. I think we're really lucky as a country to be able to have that. There's other countries that we compete against that don't have the money for that. So
we're very lucky. We're a very lucky team to have everyone that supports you.
No, that's great. And going back more into skills of diving, is there a certain skill or theme that you feel would make a difference in your diving? Like for me, I wish I spotted better. I always used to close my eyes, which did not help. I
can't spin without my eyes open.
Not on purpose. It just happened. So I was very much a feel my way around diver. And I think something that would have helped me a lot better, especially with reverse, is to be able to learn to spot. And I tried to learn that, but more of a later stage. And now it's great seeing, you know, like the little divers on Z camps and Swim England Talent Y camps always doing drills of spotting, throwing chamois in buckets, seeing floats that are coloured. Yeah, we used to have a number chart, but my eyes closed. I never saw it. But what about you?
Harness as well. So
Harness, yeah, I use a lot of harness.
Yeah, harness helps. But, you know, when you go from harness to the pool, it's like really different because the pool atmosphere, like in Plymouth, whenever I do reverse in training, because there's not, you know, when there's the red
curtain. I used to love the curtain.
I in competition, I love it because there's a place at the top where I'd stop. But when it's like training and there's no red curtain, I have to adapt because I'm just like, where do I need to spot? But I'm the same with you. Like handstand, it's quite self-explanatory to see twist and grab. Twist, I've learnt over the years to not go from pike straight into arms. You know, to open and grab.
You have time for that.
Yeah.
I didn't always have time.
On inward, I'm like my eyes are open, but I don't necessarily count. Like I just like I don't know. I think I do subconsciously, but I don't feel like I do. But reverse, I don't necessarily enjoy it during training.
No, I get you on that one.
And when it goes right, I feel so accomplished. I'm like, finally. But like I can't. I just need to work on getting it, you know, consistently with the spotting and stuff. Yeah,
that's the dive that I did the most towards the end. So I used to do back 3.5, and I went back to reverse just for consistency and injury. But reverse, I would do 3 or 4 piece of the others, 2, 3, 4, depending on the season, or where I was in the season. But reverse, it was like 8. I just kept going. I just never got it. But I would in competition. In competition.
Was back 3.5? How was it different to reverse?
So much harder. But it's a big dive. But I think if you spotting, I just didn't spot. And actually, I do remember being in the old Plymouth pool when I first learnt it, and Tom trying to tell me stop kicking at the water. So I don't know where I am. And he I think what he was trying to say to me, and what I feel now is, he was a lot younger and he had it like that, but he was trying to say, like, keep your eyes spotting on the same spot, and then if they're there, then you can kick. So that's something I wish I knew then, what I knew now. But it's a difficult dive, and it's something that you have to be strong for, and something that you have to keep repeating as well, but also be strong enough. So actually there came a point where I used to do strength and conditioning, and in my dry session before my pool session, I did quite heavy weighted squats, and then went straight into the pool and did lead up to a back 3.5, and then did back 3.5 and 10, because in that 20 minutes I would be at my strongest. And that's how, because in competition you have adrenaline, so everything that I always did in competition was always that little bit higher, always. And so we tried to reciprocate the back 3.5, but you know, it's about consistency, and I did one really good one at one point. So that's why I went to reverse. But again, I think it definitely comes down to spotting, and it's a skill that is hugely important, and it's nice to see the little kids doing it with like the coloured floats and the numbers.
I think when I go to camps with the juniors, I love them because you, instead of focusing on the big dives, you focus on the little tiny parts of each dive, so that it's just like basics and stuff. And I think that's always really important to go back to, because sometimes we forget how to do the simple things because we're so caught up in all the big dives. But it's really nice to see that they're starting from young, so that when they get older, they can look back and go, oh, this is this and that.
Yeah, what I did, but I missed that phase. I was a gymnast as well, and I went up really, really quickly. But you know, I was taught it. I find it difficult. But anyway, so last one. What are you looking forward to doing when you get back into the pool?
Diving, obviously. Next year, because this year I started off really well and I was really happy with it. And you know, with the situation, I was a bit disappointed, but I mean, life carries on. I'm safe, I'm healthy, getting stronger. But I definitely want to improve my technique, improve each individual dive, you know, get a new PB, and just carry on with the consistency that I did this year. And I think when I approach January, I think I want to be mentally stronger and physically stronger with like everything.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And it's about process, isn't it? Rather than outcome goals. As long as your process is in the right place, then I'm sure you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for chatting. It was nice. It was nice and nice to see how actually sometimes we're quite similar in platform. There's a lot of similarities, which is nice to hear. And I'm sure you'll be great.
Thank you so much.